Hello everyone! In this video I'll show you how I started my vegetable garden plants from seeds. My raised garden bed is 16 feet by 4 feet and I filled it with a good mixture of peat moss, organic soil, and compost. I can either buy transplants from the garden center or start the plants from seeds. I start almost all my plants directly from seeds. You can see the prices of transplants here at Home Depot's Garden Center. Each plant is between $4 and $6 depending on the size. And since my garden is 64 square feet, I will need 64 plants or more, and at $4 a plant, that's a lot of money to spend. And besides, it's more fun to start the plants from seeds and watch them grow. It's important to label as you plant. A lot of seedlings look similar, and this way you can identify later what you planted. Next, you need containers to plant in. You can use almost anything since this is a temporary place for the plants. Just make sure the container is food grade, holds enough soil, and has drainage holes for the water to drain. Here I am filling some 5 by 5 inch growing trays with soil. You can also use drinking cups, just punch holes in the bottom for the water to drain. I like to use an organic seed starting mix. I use this Jiffy brand because it was available. I'm not loyal to the brand, but I like to buy organic when I can. Here I have some of my seed packets lined up, and since I'm planting a few different varieties, I'm making sure that they're all labeled properly. This label is for the Big Daddy tomato seeds. These seeds were $2.49 at the garden center, but you can see here the same seeds on the Burpee website. The seeds are $7.29. That's a big difference, so shop around for good prices. This variety is indeterminate, which means they are a vining type of plant that will keep growing throughout the season and continue to set and ripen fruit until they are killed off by the frost. This gives a steady supply of tomatoes rather than one harvest all at the same time. I have a tray here with the soil all ready for these seeds to be transplanted. And here I have another tray labeled Tomato Roma, ready for planting. These are a determinate variety. As you can see here, they grow to a fixed height, 30 to 36 inches tall, and they should be ready to harvest in 70 days. You can see quite a lot of seeds come in a packet, so for $1 or $2 you can get a lot of plants when you start the seeds yourself. I'm going to plant 2 seeds in each of the small trays. This way, if one seed doesn't germinate, then it's likely the other will. If both sprout, then I will have to choose the healthier plant and thin out the weaker one, or try to separate them to save both. It's really easy to plant. Just poke holes in the dirt about a 1/4 inch deep. I think my holes were closer to a 1/2 inch deep. They were fine, but try not to plant them so deep. And then drop a seed in each hole. When you're done planting the seeds, cover each one of them up with a little bit of soil and water them. But before I water them, I want to plant the Big Daddy seeds. I'm going to plant 2 seeds in each tray here also. When I'm done planting the 2 seeds in each tray, I cover them up with a little bit of soil. This is really so simple, and kids love to do this, so if you have kids around, get them involved in the planting process. Here I have another variety of tomato. These are called bush steak, and I have all my trays set up ready to plant these. These are a determinate variety, which means they will only grow to a fixed height. This variety grows 20 to 24 inches, which makes it good for growing in containers as well as in the garden. And I have one more variety of tomatoes I want to try. This is called Super Sweet 100 Hybrid. These are an indeterminate variety, and so they'll spread out, and I will need to give them a lot of support. Okay, so altogether I'm planting 4 different varieties of tomatoes. 2 indeterminate, the Big Daddy and the Super Sweet 100, and 2 determinate, the Roma and the Bush Steak. Okay, I think that's enough tomato plants. Now let's plant some peppers. Here I have some sweet peppers. These are called Jungle Parrot, and I have my trays all set up for this as well. Again, I'm going to poke 2 holes in each tray and then drop a seed in each hole. If you go to the Burpee website, you can find lots of tips and growing information that can be very useful. Most seed companies will have extra information and tips on their websites, so make sure to check out the website for the seeds you buy. After I'm finished planting, I water the seeds. I didn't film that part. and then I cover the trays with plastic wrap to create a sort of greenhouse for the seeds. The plastic cover keeps the moisture in so the soil does not dry out too quickly. Here I have another variety of sweet pepper. This is called Crispy Hybrid, and I go through the steps to plant these seeds as well. And here I have some interesting seeds. These are called Carnival Blend sweet peppers. According to Burpee's website, these are 70 days to maturity, and I can't wait to see how these turn out. And of course we need some cucumbers. These are called Lunchbox Hybrid. They are small cukes and they're ready for harvest in 50 to 53 days. They're going to need some support to grow on since they love to climb. I was running out of trays, so I decided to use plastic drinking cups. I punched holes in the bottom of each cup and filled it with soil, and then I set it in a Folgers coffee container filled with water. I wasn't sure if this would work, but it did. These plants did not need to be watered. The soil stayed moist by wicking up the water from the bottom. Here I've got one more variety of cucumber. This is called Diva. I got this when I was looking for an all-female cucumber plant, one that did not need pollination. Since I grow indoors as well, I needed a cucumber plant that did not need to be pollinated, and this variety, Diva, fit the bill. It grows very nicely indoors, and now I'm going to see how well it grows outdoors. It doesn't take long for the seeds to germinate, some sooner than others. Here we are 1 week later, and you can see the tomato seeds have all germinated. We have the bush steak tomatoes and the Super 100s, but the sweet peppers have not germinated. Here we have some radish I planted. They all came up, and the cucumbers have also sprouted. Just the peppers haven't. Let's take a look at the cucumbers I planted in the cups sitting in the Folgers coffee jars filled with water. It doesn't look like the Roma tomatoes have germinated yet, but the Big Daddy tomatoes are up. Now here we are at 2 weeks since I planted the seeds, and the peppers have finally sprouted and poked their heads out of the soil. I planted 2 seeds in each container, so not all of them germinated, but I have at least 9 healthy seedlings here. I have some Big Daddy tomato seedlings started here, not in soil but in rock wool. This is the way I start them when I grow hydroponically, although I'm planting these for the outdoor garden. Here you can see the bush steak tomatoes and the cherry tomatoes. They are the Super Sweet 100s, and these are all growing very nicely. And here are some peppers. I had more than 1 seed germinate in some of the trays, so I replanted those in rock wool and set them in cups with holes in them, and then I put them into Folgers jars with more water. This one is the same idea, except the cup is filled with soil, but it also has holes punched in the bottom, and it's sitting in a jar of water. And here you can see another in rock wool. So I've got a lot of seeds started indoors in a variety of ways, which shows that there is not just one way to do things. And the seeds really don't care at this stage as long as they have the right environment to germinate. Once they start to grow to maturity, then they get a little more picky about their environment. All of these plants are too small to go outside yet, and at this point the weather is too cold for them. It's now the beginning of May when I'm filming this, and the temperatures are down in the low 40s during the night and 60s during the day. Also, these will need to sit outside for a while to harden off, meaning that they usually need an adjustment period to get used to the outdoors before being transplanted. Okay, now we're here at around 3 weeks since I planted these seeds, and you can see the seedlings are still growing very nicely. These are the bush steak tomatoes and the cherry tomatoes, and the smaller plants here on the right are the peppers. And some more tomatoes, cucumbers, and more tomatoes. Remember, I'm growing these to fill a 16-foot by 4-foot raised bed, so I will have 64 square feet of growing space. These plants are going to fit in there very nicely. Here we are at the beginning of June. Some of these seedlings outgrew their original trays, so I transplanted them into red plastic drinking cups. I should have planted them to start with in these drinking cups, and you can see they are growing and growing and growing. All of the plants, the tomatoes, the cucumbers, the peppers, they are all growing nicely and will soon be ready to go outside. Now at this stage you can compare these with the plants we saw at the garden center at Home Depot. Those were between $4 and $6 each, and I have about 60 or more plants here, so that's easily more than $250 worth of plants that I grew from seed for much less. Alright, we're now in the middle of June, and it is definitely time to put these guys in the ground. I've been moving some of them outside so that they can get a taste of what it's like to be outdoors with the wind and the fluctuating temperatures during the day. I'm laying these out here on the raised garden bed to get a better idea of where I'm going to plant them. The taller plants should be planted on the northern side of the bed, preferably the northeastern side. This way, as the sun moves from east to west in the sky, and it's shining from the southern part of the sky, the taller plants won't cast a shadow on the smaller plants if they're on the northern side of the bed. I watch the sun during the day to see what shadows might be coming from the house and from nearby trees, and that's why we located the bed in this area of the yard where it gets the most sun. So these tomato plants will be going in on the northern side of the bed. Here you can see all the plants in the garden. I'll update through the summer on their progress. I placed bamboo stakes all along both sides of the bed and then strung some string across, as you can see here. I ended up with one bed completely filled with tomato plants, 4 different varieties, and then the other bed has the cucumbers and peppers and some peas. I will interplant some more crops in the empty spaces between the plants, probably some herbs. They will have to be smaller plants that don't compete with the plants already there. You'll notice we built a PVC structure around the bed and covered it with deer-proof netting. Hopefully it's deer-proof. So far, I've seen the deer come through our backyard and not even give the vegetable garden a second look. But as the plants grow and give off fruit, they will probably start to notice the crops, and we will see if the structure holds up. We also decided to paint the PVC structure green so it would blend into the greenery in the background. The white structure was too stark against all the green, and I think painting it lets it blend into the background and gives it a more natural look. We're not quite finished yet with the paint job. So far, so good, and it's not even July yet. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I've inspired you to grow something too. Thank you for watching. Bye!